Hey!
Alrighty, Hannah. So I had the chance to be on the team with Hannah for 3 years, but I feel like this year we got closest because there she is. Okay, sorry, I need to look at her. Because we played together for a good amount of time, had a lot of practice together, even some games together. So first of all, I want to say Hannah is so positive. I remember her always reminding me if we were in the weeds to just have fun, because that was when we played our best, when we had fun. Secondly, she is the hardest worker ever on the court, in the weight room, but specifically in the classroom. I think, if you don't know, she has a very hard major, and it's very time consuming and difficult, and I feel like we don't recognize her enough for that, and she never complains about it, and her drive and motivation is just so inspiring to me and everyone on the team, and I feel like we don't recognize you enough for that, so I applaud you for that. Something else that's I'm gonna miss so much about Hannah is her bag of tricks. We used to call her Mary Poppins, because literally when we need anything, she just whips it out of her bag, out of like scissors. I'm like, why do you have this in your bag? That's not probably safe. Anything, bobby pins, Advil, just anything. She whips it out. I'm like, how did you have that in there? You are such a big part of this team. For the past year, you've stepped in multiple times and helped us so much and been so clutch for us. I know that the whole team is just so excited to see what you do after this, because you're going to be so successful in anything you do. And yeah, I've just loved watching you grow throughout these 4 years. I'm so proud of you, and I feel like you've come so far, and I love you, and you'll be missed so much by everyone in this program.
Can you guys hear me? Okay, cool. I'm gonna try to get through this without crying. I've read it twice. I haven't succeeded yet, so. And as an aside to Maggie's, the bag is great until I bring a Swiss Army knife through TSA. Then it's not so great. Hi, everyone. In the years past, I've watched everyone give their senior speeches and always had an idea of what I would say. But for some reason, when it was my turn, I seemed to have a bit of trouble finding the words. On this team, we talk a lot about gratitude and how important it is in our lives. Looking back, boy, is there a lot to be thankful for. Big moments like championships, but almost more the little moments I got to spend with the people here every day. I'm a STEM major, so here's a little math for you. There are 44,000 students attending this university. There are 16 players on this team, which means that we are part of the lucky 0.03% who got to experience playing UCLA beach volleyball this year, and I couldn't be more thankful. My time here at UCLA was not what I expected, let me tell you. The biggest lesson I learned was that you can have anything you want, just not everything you want. Or, as I heard Maggie phrase it a lot better this year, you can have everything you want, just not all at once. I tried to get the most out of my college experience at the beginning. And from that, I learned another very important lesson, which was that no amount of caffeine will keep you running on 3 hours of sleep a night for very long, and sleep is not, in fact, a myth. Before anything else, I'd like to take this opportunity to say some thank yous to all my coaches, friends, and family members who helped me get to where I am right now, sitting on Zoom in front of you and looking at all your beautiful faces. First and foremost, I want to thank my mom. For anyone who's had the pleasure of meeting her, she's the most amazing, loving, and caring woman I've ever met. She taught me organization and that it's necessary to be prepared for anything, which is where the Mary Poppins bag, as Jaden and Maggie call it, comes from. She's had almost perfect attendance to every game I've ever played, or not played recently, no matter where they were in the country. Thank you, Mom, for everything you've done to raise me to be the woman I am today. I also wanted to say thank you to my stepdad, Brian. Since I was 5 years old, Brian's been the father figure I look up to. Thank you for raising me like I was your own, always treating my mother like a queen, and showing me how a man should treat a woman. Thank you to all the other parents for raising the amazing woman I got to spend my last 4 years with. A special thank you to Stein for taking me on the team. The year everyone else was being recruited, I'd been out the whole time with a back injury. Remember the first time I ever met Stein in person? I was walking by the Brew and Barrel, my unofficial. He walked up to me and said something along the lines of, "Oh, you're pretty tall. This could work." which was not terribly promising because it meant he had no idea who I was, but I also want to thank Stein for sticking with me through fall quarter of my freshman year because that was pretty rough for everyone involved. UCLA was the only school I talked to for beach, and I don't regret it. Thank you, Stein, for coaching us through 2 national championships, 2 Pac-12 championships, and for all the laughs and good memories along the way. Special shout out to the gorilla impression and the sumo impression. Those are 2 I'll never forget. I've never met anyone with a more team-first mentality than Stein. From Wim Hof to meetings with Melinda to facilitating for the better part of this year with a bad wrist, Stein has always put the team first. I also want to thank Jenny for everything she does. Jenny, I can't imagine how this program would run without you. Thank you for everything you do, coaching, planning, making detailed itineraries, planning what to wear for us, and Stein's absolute favorite uniforms, and much more. There's honestly too many to list. You've always been there to support me and everyone on the team whenever we were going through anything or just needed someone to talk to. Thank you, Jenny, for always picking up the phone when I wanted or needed to talk. And thank you for having the same conversation with me every single year for 4 years. It may have taken up until the very last week of volleyball, but I finally got it. Jenny and this team taught me how to be a team player in a different way than I'd ever known before. Thank you to all the assistant coaches we've had throughout my time here, Sean, Jeff, Irene, Jeremy, and especially Jose. We've been unbelievably lucky to be surrounded by such a talented coaching staff every year I've spent here. A massive thank you to our team manager, Madison. Madison has been huge for the program, and I don't know what we'd do without her. Another thanks to Timmy for all your help with scouting and video and playing with and helping us run practice. Thank you to Toral for keeping me healthy my first 3 years, if you're here, which sadly she's not. I'm sorry that I tried to pretend I was fine the entire time so I could keep playing. And to Caitlin, thank you for this year. I'm super sorry for every time I didn't have my mask on when I should have. Thank you to Jeremy for helping me navigate school and graduate. I really couldn't have done it without you. I had a thank you written up for Paige and Joe, but since they're not here, I'm going to send it to them personally. Thank you to the mates for all your support. Thank you for our gorgeous courts and for opening up your home to us, and for the dinners we shared together there as well as in Hawaii. Thank you to the Talberts as well for everything you do for the program, and a special thanks for the brunch we had a few years ago after we won nationals. That was amazing. I also wanted to say a huge thank you to my partner for most of this year, Cami, for sticking by me no matter how weeds I was, both on the court and off. Cami and I have played together since we were 14 years old. It was 8 years ago. Damn, kind of makes you feel old, huh? After everything, I think we can say we like each other at least 4% of the time. For anyone that doesn't know, that was an old joke that Cami and I had from club volleyball. It was only 2% back then. We've gained a whole 2%. Another thing, one of my teammates I've had the privilege of knowing and growing up with is Lindsay Sparks. Lindsay's one of the kindest, most hardworking studs out there. I don't think I've told her this, but I've always looked up to her for her work ethic and how insanely amazing she is at the sport we both love. Thank you, Lindsay, for 7 years of being a great player and an even better friend. I wish I had time to talk about every single person on this team, but sadly I think I ended up talking your ears off and some people might go to sleep. So a little earlier I talked about a conversation I had with Jenny, at least once a year, every year. I talked to Jenny every year about how bad I wanted to play. When I gave this speech to you all, I wanted to end it with some sort of self-defined success story, like if you work hard enough, you can achieve anything. Let me tell you, about halfway through this year, I had my head down and tail between my legs because I knew this wasn't going to happen. My whole life had been based around success, and in my mind, I had decided that that meant playing, and as a result, this was my first failure. And thus began my search for meaning. The weird thing was, the more I thought about it, I wasn't miserable. My life had not, in fact, ended, and I was still really happy. So the Grinch's heart grew 3 sizes that day when I realized that I love volleyball so much, but it wasn't about the volleyball. It was about the people. I had this misconception that I wouldn't matter or people wouldn't be my friend unless I was one of the best. This experience taught me that I was looking at it wrong. Happiness doesn't come from the things you do, it comes from the people you do them with. Would I have loved to play? 100%, but I still wouldn't trade this experience for the world. The only regret I have is that I didn't get to spend more time and make more memories with you all. As a kid, I always wanted to grow up as fast as possible, get my driver's license, go to college, finish my undergrad classes because wow, were those a lot of work. Be 21 so I could have my first ever sip of alcohol. But looking back, let me tell you something. It went by fast, just like our parents said it would. So I hope with all my heart that each one of you cherish these precious moments we spend together, because no matter how much you want to, you can't come back to college. Except those of us being 5th and 6th COVID years, of course. Everything eventually ends. As much as I've looked forward to graduating and moving on with my career, I've always hated endings. The last day of summer, the end of a camp, the last episode of a favorite TV series. But endings are inevitable, and they happen whether you're ready for them or not. For the graduating seniors, this is one of those days for us. Today, we say our goodbyes to an amazing team and coaching staff, and honestly, a family. But I'll end with a cheesy quote. So as Winnie the Pooh says, how lucky I am to have something that makes saying goodbye so hard.
Hannah, that was great. My goodness. Everyone knows that you're extremely goal-oriented and achievement-minded. And because of that, you know, your path and always wanting to be on the court was a challenge. Like, everyone knew that. And it was just really neat. And you said a lot more eloquent than me, but it was really neat to see you have that epiphany this year when you recognized you may not get your shot, but that you still really loved being on this team and being a part of this group. And maybe you don't realize this, but you're special, and there's some things we will definitely be telling Hannah stories for a long time to come. You've left a great legacy, and I just remember how willing you were at any point to step up and help people, like the epitome of the support person. Whether it's helping people who can't figure out wind angles like Elise and rewriting my little wind compass to the 4 different directions so she could try and figure it out. Or just being totally on top of the pop quizzes to the point where I was like, Hannah, you're not allowed to answer anymore. Let somebody else answer. You've just been so invested in the process and this team, and we just appreciate all that you've given, and your legacy is strong. We will be telling Hannah stories, no question. So thank you. Okay. Woo! Some good ones. All right. I'm happy to introduce Linzo, who will in turn introduce our next senior. Linzo.